Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. We are here with a different type of video today. We've got our first ever Hardcore Nuzlocke and we're doing it in the style of Ash. As you've seen a few videos on this channel, I love to follow Ash from the anime, and so I thought, you know, let's find out if Ash Ketchum could beat a Hardcore Nuzlocke on Pokemon Fire Red. So the rules are pretty simple. We're doing a Hardcore Nuzlocke, so there's a level cap at the beginning of each gym. We can't go past their highest level Pokemon. Normally for a Hardcore Nuzlocke you're on set mode. I did not do that for this one. I think that would have made this even more difficult than you'll see it already was, but we'll consider doing that in the future. The only other rule that I'm adding in with this Ash one is, of course, we can only catch Pokemon that Ash caught in the anime. So if we go into a route, we get as many tries as we want, but I can only catch a Pokemon that he caught. So that's specific up to the fact that I cannot catch a Pidgey, but I could catch a Pidgeotto if it's wild, or I cannot catch a Grimer, but I can catch a Muck. So different things like that. So there's only a handful of Pokemon available to us, and yeah, you'll see how it goes. Before we get started, I just wanted to say that videos like this do take a lot of time and effort, so if you could drop a like and subscribe, that would be really awesome. I'd love to put out more videos like this in the future. Just don't expect them too often because they do take a lot of time to play, but also a lot of time to edit. So I hope you enjoy this one. Sit back, relax, and we'll get to it. Alright, to start off our journey, I decided to pick Charmander because I felt like the game would be too easy if I picked Squirtle or Bulbasaur, and I also wanted Gary to have Squirtle like he does in the anime, so I felt like Charmander was the best choice, at least for the first attempt, but we'll see how that goes. So Gary grabs his Squirtle and we are on our way. After getting Pokeballs, the first Pokemon we ran into in Route 2 was a Caterpie at level 4, so we did some damage to it and threw a Pokeball and caught ourselves a Caterpie. Pretty much right after that we went into Viridian Forest, and the first encounter, actually the only encounter we could get that was an Ash Pokemon that was not a dupe, was a Pikachu. So this actually worked out. We ran around until we found a Pikachu, we damaged it, and we caught it. So the team is up to 3. Before arriving at Pewter City, our Caterpie evolved into Metapod first, and then 3 levels later evolved into a Butterfree. So this is the last thing that happened before I got to the first gym. Upon arriving at Pewter City, we have our team Charmander 14, Butterfree at level 14, and Pikachu at level 10. So this is the team we tried the battle with. Let's get into it. This battle with Brock was pretty difficult. We let off with Butterfree, went for a Stun Spore and then Confusion. The Geodude couldn't really touch us too much, but we decided to harden up in order to prepare for the Onix. When the Onix came out, we did have a lot of hardens up and we paralyzed it, but Rock Tomb still did quite a bit of damage. We were able to get off some Confusions. It hit us with Rock Tomb again and put us down to 2 health, so we switched into Charmander, and upon switching, he does miss his Rock Tomb, so we do hit a Metal Claw, doesn't quite take him out, and he hits another Rock Tomb. This time the Rock Tomb was devastating. He got a critical hit and one-shot our starter. So sadly Charmander was down, but we still had Butterfree, so we sent him back in to finish off the job with Confusion. So yes, we did complete the gym, but just barely, and not having Charmander for the rest of this game is not going to be good. Our first real rival battle was kind of scary. We only had Pikachu and Butterfree at level 17, but we led off with Pikachu against his Pidgeotto, and a couple of Thunder Shocks knocked it out. For his Rattata, we decided to switch into Butterfree and go for Confusion a few times. All it did was Tail Whip, so this was no problem. Third up was Squirtle, which Pikachu could handle. We decided to go for Thunder Shock, and surprisingly wasn't a 2-hit KO, but we survived a Water Gun and knocked it out. Last up was Abra, which couldn't really hit us, so we used Thunder Shock while it tried to teleport and knocked him out for the win. Now time for Misty. Our level cap was 21, so we put Pikachu and Butterfree at this level. That was all we could really do. I didn't have much hope going into this one, but we decided to try it. So Pikachu, Thunder Shock on Staryu, just about 1-hit KOs, but he decides to heal up, and we just hit him another 2 times with Thunder Shock. Second up was Starmie, which did massive damage with Water Pulse, so we decided to switch into Butterfree. Butterfree tried to put Starmie to sleep, and it was successful, but Starmie woke up pretty quickly and hit us with a Swift. Unluckily, it was a critical hit. I don't know if that was needed, but our Butterfree was down. All we had left was Pikachu, so we sent our Pikachu in and tried for a Thunder Shock, but we were outsped as well, and a Swift took out our final Pokemon. So our first attempt ended sadly. I wasn't really too confident without Charmander, but that's how it goes. So attempt 2, I actually picked Charmander again, and it went even more poorly, and I wiped at Brock. So we skipped showing attempt 2 right to attempt 3, and I decided to go with Bulbasaur this time. So we skipped everything. We got Bulbasaur, Butterfree, and Pikachu, and we're back at the first gym. Having Bulbasaur made this battle much easier. We easily one-shotted the Geodude with Vine Whip, and when he sent in his Onix, we couldn't quite one-shot with Vine Whip, but he decided to just attack us, and we hit him with one more to take him out. So easy Boulder Badge, and we're on for some revenge with Misty. Alright, this battle with Misty, we have everyone at 21 again. The only difference is this time we do have a Bulbasaur, so hopefully this goes a lot better than last time. So Misty sends in her Staryu, we lead with Pikachu, and a couple of Thunder Shocks will eventually take it out even though she heals. When she goes into Starmie, we decide to switch to Bulbasaur and use Leech Life. Leech Life gives us a little bit of health back, and we go for a Razor Leaf. We go for one more Razor Leaf, she can't hit us, and we level up to 22, giving us the badge. So the Bulbasaur starter choice is definitely coming in clutch for us. Alright, for our next rival battle, we couldn't actually level up too high because the next level cap was only 24, so our guys are around 23. We lead off with Pikachu, which makes quick work of his Pidgeotto. He decides to go into Radicate, so we switch into Bulbasaur. We set up a Leech Seed, and then we go for some Razor Leafs. So 2 Razor Leafs would have done the job, but he decided to switch into Charmeleon. So we go again with the Leech Seed, trying to set up. Ember actually does quite a bit here, so we decide to switch into Butterfree, who somehow takes an Ember a lot better and puts Charmeleon to sleep. So we put it to sleep and finish it off with Confusion. Next up is his Radicate. So Hyper Fang just about takes us out, which is kind of scary, but Butterfree comes back and finishes the job. Kadabra is his last Pokemon. He does disable us, so all we can do is put him to sleep and confuse him and go for tackles. Eventually this will take him out and we'll defeat Gary. Alright, for Lieutenant Surge, like I said, the level cap is 24, so that is what we put everyone up to. And let's get on with the battle. So Surge is going to lead off with his Voltorb while we start with Butterfree. We decide to go for a Supersonic, not knowing he had the soundproof ability, so we put him to sleep instead and start going for Confusions. He is going to use a Super Potion, but honestly that's fine if he's going to waste them on Voltorb, and we eventually do take him out. Next up is his Pikachu, so we go into our own and one-shot it with Mega Kick. Last up is his Raichu. We decide to go into Bulbasaur, who can take some hits. He's going to set up Double Team, but we do get the Leech Life and the Poison off, so he's going to slowly drain some health while we go for Razor Leaf. As you can see, we tank the Shockwave really well, and we finally do take it out with a final Razor Leaf. So overall, Surge wasn't too bad, and now our new level cap is up to 29. For our battle with Erica, we have our Butterfree up to the level cap at 29 with Aerial Ace and Psychic now. Pikachu's at 27 with Thunderbolt now, and Bulbasaur at 28 with the same moveset. So we're going to lead off with our Butterfree. She's got her Victory Bell. Aerial Ace doesn't look like it's going to be a 2-shot, so we go for a Psychic on the second turn to take it out. She switches into Tangela. We're going to go with Bulbasaur. We're going to poison it with Poison Powder and slowly chip away some health with Cut. She does go for a full heal, but we poison it again and continue going for Cut because Razor Leaf just isn't going to do that much. After a lot of healing, we finally take it out. Her last Pokemon is Vileplume, so we go back into Butterfree, and Psychic is going to be a 2-shot. We avoid the paralyzation and get our 4th badge. Now we head into the Rocket hideout with the level cap up to 43. This gives us a lot of extra room. So we make our way through the hideout, we grab the lift key, and we head for our first battle with Giovanni. Giovanni leads with his Onix, and we lead with Butterfree, but quickly decide to switch into Bulbasaur as that's not the great matchup. Bulbasaur makes quick work of both Onix and Rhyhorn with Razor Leaf before we switch back into Butterfree for the Kangaskhan. For the Kangaskhan, we decide to put it to sleep because we know it can hit pretty hard. Luckily, it misses its Mega Punch when it wakes up, but we decide to switch into Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur goes for a Leech Seed while he hits himself in confusion, but very sadly on the next turn he does hit the Mega Punch, and even without the crit it is a one-shot. So this Kangaskhan is very frightening. We decide to try to confuse it again and just go for Psychics. Luckily he uses Bite instead of Mega Punch, and we eventually are able to take it out for the win. Next up is another rival battle with Gary, and this one is frightening because we only have Pikachu and Butterfree left. So Pikachu's at 30, Butterfree's 32, and let's just see how it goes. So he leads off with Pidgeotto. We easily one-shot it with Thunderbolt as well as the Gyarados, so not a bad start. He goes into his Execute and we switch to Butterfree, knocking it out with one Aerial Ace. When he sends in his Charmeleon, we decide putting it asleep and confusing it is a good plan, and then Psychic knocks it out in 2 shots. Last up is his Kadabra. We Aerial Ace it in 1 shot with Butterfree, finishing him off. So actually, nothing to worry about here. After exiting Celadon City, we finally get another encounter, this time with a Snorlax. So I decided to just go for this as I do need a new member on the team, so we're hoping this goes well and I can catch a Snorlax for the team. So we wake up the Snorlax and lead with Butterfree. We decide to put it to sleep with Sleep Powder, but it immediately wakes up with the Chesto Berry and hits us for a lot of damage. We put it back to sleep and start throwing Great Balls, but it wakes up again after the next turn and kills our Butterfree. Very, very upsetting. So Pikachu is our only option. We think about it for a while and decide to go for a few double teams, hoping maybe he won't be able to hit us. After a couple double teams, we go for a Brick Break that misses and hits on the next turn. Unfortunately, he hits a Yawn, which is going to put us to sleep, except we hit another Brick Break and end up killing the Snorlax anyways. So Ash only has Pikachu left now, and they are both absolutely devastated. Unlike in the show though, we just go back to a different route where we haven't caught a Pokemon yet and we get another Caterpie. So we don't end up even using this one, but we just catch it just as extra insurance if Pikachu dies. So after arriving in Fuchsia, we decide to go south with our rod to hook ourselves a Krabby. Unfortunately, Pikachu is too high of a level and this Butterfree is weak and we don't want it to die, so we just have to start whipping balls at it. We whip a couple Great Balls and eventually it gets paralyzed and we do capture it. So finally another member of the team we can actually use. We also head into the Safari Zone right afterwards and find ourselves a Tauros. So we whip a couple Safari Balls at the Tauros, hoping it doesn't run away. We do get quite lucky in the fact that we catch on the second ball and it doesn't run away. So Tauros is added to the team and it's not looking so bad anymore. After the Safari Zone, we finally head over to the next route where we can actually get a wild Pidgeotto. So we find one at level 29. We hit it a few times with Horn Attack. Luckily it doesn't kill and we're able to throw a ball and catch ourselves a Pidgeotto. Shortly after catching the Pidgeotto, I decided to train it up in the grass and level it up to 36, which will give us a Pidgeotto. Shortly after that, we head to our second and final chance at a Snorlax, so I play the Poke Flute and we get to it. This time I tried to lead with Tauros, and just thinking that Tauros can actually take hits from Snorlax. Unfortunately, Snorlax does keep using Rest, which is quite annoying. But after quite a long battle and a lot of Ultra Balls thrown, I actually ran out of Ultra Balls and we ended up catching it with a Great Ball. So 6 on the team. Then finally we evolve Krabby on our way to the Silphco, and that's what our team looks like heading in. So the next Gary fight is here, and honestly I was kind of scared until we got all these new team members, and I think we're feeling pretty good going into this one. So Gary's going to lead off with his Pidgeotto. We lead off with our Snorlax. A couple of body slams will eventually do the trick, which is not bad. He's going to switch into Gyarados, so we go right into Pikachu and Thunderbolt, which luckily does one-hit KO because I don't think Pikachu could have took a hit there. For his Execute, we switch into Pidgeotto and hit it with a couple wing attacks. We do get stalled out a little bit by the Confusion and Paralysis, but eventually we do take it out. For his Alakazam, we decide to go back into Snorlax and Body Slam again, which somehow one-shots it. I was not expecting that. Then he sends out his best Pokemon, Charizard. We do get the Rock Tomb off, but it doesn't kill him. And he hits back with a Flamethrower that somehow one-shots our Tauros. I absolutely couldn't believe what just happened there. It was not even a crit. But yeah, Tauros is gone just like that, and we didn't really get to enjoy him. So unfortunately we do have to go into Pikachu and finish the job. But that's the rival battle, so only losing one Pokemon, not horrible. And right after the rival battle we do end up grabbing the Lapras from the guy right here. So lost to Tauros, but did grab a Lapras. For the next Giovanni battle, we're a little bit under leveled, but we decide to go for it. So we lead off with Pidgeotto, who makes quick work of his Nidorino with a couple wing attacks and a quick attack. For the Rhyhorn, we decided to surf with Lapras. Even though we're under leveled, it's still a one-shot, so nothing wrong there. For his Nidoqueen, we decided to go into Kingler, who with a couple surfs and a couple mud shots does eventually take it out. We do get paralyzed and almost killed, but we finally take it out. And for his last Pokemon, the Kangaskhan, we figure Snorlax is our best bet, who tanks Mega Punch really well. We do try to put him to sleep, but the Body Slam gets to paralyze first. So we switch into Pidgeotto, who uses Fly and Wing Attack a couple times, and eventually we do take out the Kangaskhan. So a lot has happened since our last gym battle, but we're finally here, and we've got pretty much everyone close to the level cap except for Butterfree, because I was just too lazy to train him up, but we're feeling pretty comfortable with everyone around 40 to 42. We decided to lead off with Pidgeotto and Wing Attack, which is fine, but he uses a Hyper Potion. So the poison is draining our health quite a bit, and we do have to switch since we're not using any items. Unfortunately, when we go into Lapras, it also gets poisoned, so things are not looking great. We decided to go into Snorlax for the Muck and try to put it to sleep, but again, it uses Toxic, and our Snorlax is now poisoned. And on top of that, he tries to start using Minimize. Luckily though, we break through and hit him with 2 Body Slams. Next, he sends out his Coughing, which we almost kill in one shot, but our health is getting quite low, so we go back into Lapras. He uses another Hyper Potion, but we do one-shot it with Surf. Finally, he sends out his last Pokemon, Weezing, but our team is looking really not great. We decide to confuse it with Confuse Ray, and a Sludge puts us into red health. So we decide to go into Butterfree and sacrifice it because we need an extra turn to switch. So Butterfree dies unfortunately, but that's fine. We go into Kingler, who's really our only Pokemon left not poisoned, and of course he eventually gets poisoned. We do take out the Weezing before it dies though, and luckily nobody important died here. For our battle with Sabrina, we did catch another Caterpie in a different route just as an extra switch in, and the level cap is the same, so we had to keep our team roughly similar. Pidgeotto makes quick work of her first 2 Pokemon with Wing Attack and Quick Attack without really taking much damage, so that was nice. Third, she sends in Venomoth. We decide to stay in Wing Attack, which gets a crit and one-shots. Finally, her last Pokemon, Alakazam, uses Calm Mind, but a Body Slam one-shots it, so Sabrina went much better than Koga. Before heading to the next gym, we now had access to a route where we could find Primeape, so we went in the grass a little bit and found ourselves a Primeape at level 42. We damage it a little bit and throw an Ultra Ball, and we catch it first try. So Primeape joins the team, and that's actually the last new Pokemon we get in this run. For the battle with Blaine, our level cap is 47, but we kind of just have everyone at 45 because that's where they naturally were, and we decided to just hop into this battle with only 45s. So Blaine leads with his Growlithe, we lead with Pidgeotto and make quick work with 2 wing attacks, so no issue there. For Ponyta, we go into Kingler, who makes quick work of it with a Surf, one shot. Next, he's going to send in his Rapidash, we stay in with Kingler, and a Mudshot actually one-shots, which surprised me. And then finally for the Arcanine, we decide to go into Lapras. Surf doesn't quite one-shot, but it put him in heal range, and then we get a crit on the second one. So Blaine was actually pretty easy. For our last gym battle, Giovanni, our level cap is 50, so we go in with our Kingler first at level 48 and easily surf his Rhyhorn. Next, he goes to his Dugtrio. We stay in and take an Earthquake pretty well because Kingler's defense is high, and we also one-shot it. For the Nidoqueen, we decide to switch into Lapras, not knowing what it has. Lapras goes for an Ice Beam and does in fact one-shot the Nidoqueen. For the other Rhyhorn, we just surf it and another one-shot. Critical hit didn't really matter there. For his last Pokemon, the Nidoking, we do take an Earthquake decently well. Ice Beam is a one-shot, so we actually one-shot all of his Pokemon, which made this battle one of the easiest ones in the series. For our second last battle with Gary, the level cap has been raised to 60 to match the champion's highest Pokemon, I believe. So we lead off with Lapras, and Ice Beam does one-shot his Pidgeotto, so not bad. He is going to send in a Rhyhorn, so we switch to Kingler, and we do end up taking it out with one Surf, so still looking good. For the Execute, we go back into Pidgeotto. We know Wing Attack can make quick work, so Wing Attack doesn't one-shot, but he misses a Stun Spore, so we finish him off with a Quick Attack. For the Alakazam, he decides to disable, but that's fine. We're going to use Wing Attack anyways, so 2 Wing Attacks takes out his Alakazam. Then for the Gyarados, we're really hoping that Pikachu can one-shot because he can't take a hit, and Thunderbolt does in fact one-shot the Gyarados. So smooth up until this point, but now he's got his Charizard, and we really don't like this Charizard from what happened last time. So we go into Snorlax, who tries to put his Charizard to sleep, but then we get hit with a Future Sight and a Wing Attack, so the rest comes just in time to heal us back to full. His Charizard goes to sleep as well, and we start using Snore, which does decent damage, but not really that much. His Charizard does wake up and use a Wing Attack and a Slash, and we just about take it out, but it goes into red. So we decide to go into Kingler. Unfortunately though, his Flamethrower almost takes us out and we get burned, so we do have to pivot again into Pidgeotto, who can take a Slash and finally finish him off. So tough battle, but we ended up making it through without losing anyone. Alright, Elite 4 time. So level cap, like I said, is 60. We didn't get everyone to 60 just because of the training and stuff. I felt 58 was high enough, but this is a look at the team. So we have Primeape at 58 with Brick Break, Earthquake, Bulk Up, and Hyper Beam. Lapras at 58 with Surf, Ice Beam, Hydro Pump, Rain Dance. Pidgeotto 58 with Wing Attack, Double Edge, Steel Wing, Fly. Snorlax, Body Slam, Yawn, Rest, and Snore. Pikachu, Thunderbolt, Thunder, Double Team, and Brick Break. And Kingler, Surf, Mudshot, Guillotine, and Hyper Beam. So, team's looking pretty good. Let's hop into it. So, first Elite 4 member wasn't too bad because we're quite over leveled compared to her. So, we send in Primeape and one-shot her Dugong. She goes into Slowbro, so we switch into Snorlax to avoid the Psychic types. 2 Body Slams does the trick. For the Cloyster, we go into Pikachu because we know that thing has hardly any special defense, so we one-shot it with Thunderbolt. Then she sends out a Jinx, so we decide to go into Kingler with a Hyper Beam. Hyper Beam is physical in this gen, so it one-shots the Jinx. For the Lapras, we go back into Primeape and Brick Break. It doesn't have enough to OHKO, and we get confused. On top of that, she does use a Citrus Berry, so that was actually good because that made it so she wouldn't heal. Unluckily, we hit ourselves in confusion though, so we have to switch into our Lapras. So we send out our Lapras and try for a Hydro Pump, but again we hit ourselves in confusion and get paralyzed. So this thing is kind of stalling us, and then I don't know why I didn't know it had Water Absorb, so I actually healed it up and then didn't really hit it very hard. So we do have to switch out again back into Snorlax. We take a Body Slam pretty good, and we hit it with one of our own. Unfortunately into red health, so she does heal, but we go for a rest and our Chesto Berry heals us up. So we get a crit on the next with Body Slam. She heals again, but we paralyze her twice and finally take her out. So it took a while, but we did finish this one off. Next up is Bruno. We're still pretty over leveled, so this one wasn't too bad either. We one-shot the Onix with Surf pretty easily. For the Hitmonchan, we switch into Pidgeotto, who uses Fly. We avoid his Rock Tomb and one-shot the Hitmonchan. For the Machamp, we didn't think we could one-shot with Fly, so I used Wing Attack, but then his Citrus Berry healed, so we did have to go for the Fly, but we took it out. Same thing for the Hitmonlee. Fly was a one-shot, so no problem. And then for the Onix, again, we just go back into Kingler with the Surf, so one of our easier battles. Next up is Agatha, and it was starting to get a little bit difficult at this point. So she leads off with her Gengar, we lead off with Primeape. I'm not sure why I did this, and I forgot that it had Levitate, so we immediately have to switch out into Pidgeotto. But unfortunately, this thing is using Double Team a lot, and we can't really hit. We finally do break through with the Wing Attack, and then it poisons us. So luckily we did attach a Pekka Berry before this battle, so it heals us right up. And we continue missing Fly, and he does poison us again. So things are not really looking that good. I continually try to break through, but Pidgeotto's health is getting pretty low. So we decide to switch into Lapras, and of course he confuses Lapras as well, and poison. So we finally do break through and get off the Rain Dance, but our health is looking really low, so we do have to switch again. This time I decide to go into Pikachu, thinking that maybe we can finish this thing off. So we do take a Shadow Punch, but unluckily Thunder does not take it out, and another Shadow Punch does kill us, even though the first one didn't do half. He got a crit, and this one stung.
Pikachu was my very first Pokemon. I close my eyes and
Pikachu was the one that we had left when no one else was left, and even though we didn't really need him anymore, it just stung. It stung losing him, so it's not looking good for us right now. We're trying to decide who to switch into. I eventually decide on Kingler, and he uses a full restore, and we miss our Surf. Luckily we do hit the second one, so we know we can get him with another one. We miss another time and eventually do take him out. So rough start to this battle. For the Golbat though, we decide to stay in and Surf. He confuses us though, and we hit ourselves in confusion. Eventually we do snap out of it, but we have to switch. So we go into Snorlax. A Body Slam can't quite finish it off, but she doesn't heal, and we take it out. For the Arbok, we go into Primeape, and since her ability lowered our attack, we decide to bulk up. And she does poison us, but we go for the Earthquake, and with the bulk up is not quite enough to kill. So our Primeape's looking low as well. We do have to switch again. Snorlax, knowing that we're going to get to low health, uses a rest just in time, which is perfect, and a Snore is going to knock out the Arbok. So you can see things are really not looking good. 3 of our Pokemon poisoned, 1 dead. We decided to stay in with Snorlax and go for another rest, hoping we wake up in time. It does happen and we get back to sleep. My only hope now is that we can kind of stall him out, maybe put him to sleep if we wake up in time.
1 hour later.
So finally I do decide to go back into Pidgeotto, and knowing he's probably going to use Nightmare, it seems like that's all he has left at this point. So even though we are poisoned, I can get off a couple wing attacks, and we just barely survived the last poisoning. So here is kind of a struggle, because if I stay in with Pidgeotto, he's going to die. So I do go back to Kingler. Unluckily, he puts us to sleep though. So we don't really want to risk taking another hit. So we go back into Snorlax and keep this little cycle going. Fortunately, with Snorlax, we can kind of waste all of his moves. It seems like he only has Nightmare left.
Eventually.
So we finally get to a point where Snorlax can only use Struggle, but she decides to heal. So I'm slowly killing myself with recoil damage. Luckily though, we are able to take it out with a sliver of health remaining. So all she's got left is the Haunter, but we don't really have anything. So I decide my best option is Kingler. Luckily it wakes up on the first turn and we hit 2 Surfs. So I don't know how we beat that one, but we did, and we have everyone except Pikachu for the final battle. Alright, time for Lance, and I really wish I had Pikachu for this battle because of the Gyarados, but unfortunately we don't. So we decided to lead with Snorlax, and we actually get a crit with Body Slam, but he does use a full restore. So That's fine, we keep body slamming a little bit and eventually he goes back to sleep, and then we switch to Pidgeotto, who finishes with a double edge. Next he's going to send in his Aerodactyl, so we go into Kingler with a Surf, knowing this thing doesn't have much special defense. Luckily Surf is able to 2-hit KO. Then he goes into Dragonair, so we switch to Lapras with our ice moves. Ice Beam is enough to one-shot, so that's perfect. For the second Dragonair, same thing, we take a hit and Ice Beam one-shots. For the Dragonite, Ice Beam also one-shots and we can survive an Outrage. So Lance actually wasn't too bad, surprisingly. Okay, final battle, it all comes down to this. So this, as expected, was our toughest battle. He leads with Pidgeotto, we go into our Lapras, and somehow Ice Beam isn't enough to one-shot. So he does heal, but then we just hit him again with a few and knock him out. For his next Pokemon, we have to think about it for a little bit, but decide to go into Kingler, and Kingler is able to just Surf and one-shot the Rhydon, so no issue there. For the Exeggutor, Pidgeotto is able to 2-hit KO with Wing Attack and Fly, so no issue there, we're level 59. Then he's going to go into Alakazam, so we decided to stay in with Pidgeotto and go for a Wing Attack. Unluckily, Psychic looks like it's going to 2-hit KO, so I really have to think about what I'm going to do here. And I kind of decided nothing really wants to take a Psychic. And because this is the last battle, it's kind of just like, you know, I might as well sacrifice Pidgeotto, unfortunately. So we decide to stay in and take the Psychic, and Pidgeotto is down. So we get our switch into Snorlax, who takes the Psychic, and then we knock out the Alakazam with Body Slam. For the next Pokemon, we send in Primeape. We know this Gyarados has Intimidate, so we decide to bulk up. And it looks like Hydro Pump is going to be a 2-hit KO, but I decided to just get some damage with Hyper Beam before I died. So we go back into Snorlax. Body Slam unfortunately isn't enough to kill, and he does use a full restore. But we just keep taking hits. He does get a crit with Thrash, so we decide to rest, and our Lumberry does wake us up, and then we're able to Body Slam to take him out. Last up is this dang Charizard. We decide to try to put it to sleep. We are able to take a hit and let it fall asleep and get a free switch into Lapras, who surfs to finish him off. So we beat Gary for the final time, and we lost a few, but that's what you have to do. I knew it was the final battle, so it didn't really matter too much at that point as long as I didn't lose the battle. So final team, again, Snorlax, Lapras, Pidgeotto, Kingler, Primeape, and Pikachu. Pretty solid team actually, and this wasn't too hard other than the little slip up in the first 2 attempts. The hard part really was at the beginning of this game, and once we got to the Safari Zone area and got all these Pokemon, it was pretty smooth sailing from there, honestly. But thank you for watching. Thank you for staying this long. Let me know what you think of it in the comments. I do enjoy making this type of content. I'm currently working on another Hardcore Nuzlocke, so hopefully that'll be out in not too long. This video took me a long time. I really procrastinated with this one, but I'm glad it's finally done, and I'm glad you guys can see it, and hopefully you enjoyed it. So remember to drop a like if you enjoyed it. Consider subscribing if you want to see more of this type of content. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time.